Hello, everybody, and welcome to Drink Talk Rock. I am your host, Johnny B, coming at you once again. Make sure I know where the camera's at. Over here. Hello. Before we get started today, I have a very important shout out to shout out. I have been limited by my resources as far as the technology that I've been able to get in order to get this podcast going. We've had video issues, we've had audio issues, we've had John's mental issues, we have all kinds of issues. But I had a what you might call a godsend, or depending on what you believe in, energy running your way. An old friend of mine, and I'm going to call him out by name, Waylon Collins, sent me an iPad so that I could make this show, and so I could do it in a little bit better quality. And I got to say that so far, it is absolutely phenomenal for video editing. It's an iPad Air 2, I think. I don't know anything about Apple at all. But if you notice that the video is a little bit better, or maybe it's worse, I don't know. I've heard both. But, hi. Anyways, I was having a lot of struggle with trying to get the show together and try to get it where it was a little bit higher quality, and again, where I could edit it in our video editor a little bit easier. So once again, I want to thank Waylon Collins. You are a awesome son of a bitch, and I just appreciate it more than you can ask for. There's been a lot of stress taken off of me since it's happened. So, not to cut him too short, we love Waylon, but we have some news of the day, and I had a particular subject that I wanted to talk about. Now, I know I've welcomed you guys to ask questions, and I absolutely welcome it here too. And don't worry. I'm going to get to every single one. If you post them, I'm going to look at them at the end of the video, and we're going to find out exactly what you guys want to talk about. Again, what beers you guys want us to review. We always want to know the comments that you think about it. Looks good and sound. Thank you. Well, thank Waylon. I mean, he's got it where it's set up a little bit better. So I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart for him for helping this project move forward. You never know exactly how far it's going to go, but I plan on taking it for years and years to come, and this is definitely a head start in the right direction. So, but I have something I want to talk about. It's a little bit ranty, I know. Okay. I don't prepare what I'm going to say a whole bunch when I come on here, and I didn't script anything for this or anything like that. I just pulled up some screenshots of some things I want to talk about. So today we are going to talk about the controversy that is going on right now between Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley of the world-renowned band Kiss. Now, before we get to this, I'm going to need a drink. And today, we've got somewhere in between piss water and a really, really good beer. We're doing Michelob Lagers tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to pour myself one. The mug's just to make it fancy. Unfortunately, I don't have a bartender here, so it might not get poured the right way. But if you've got beers at home, I encourage you right now to crack one open. Or if you're more of a liquor man or woman, I encourage you to take a shot. Okay, I need this for what I'm about to say. Because, as a musician, one day, this may come back to bite me. I don't like Gene Simmons. That's the first thing I want to say right off the bat. I've never liked him. I never liked his attitude. I never liked the way that he treated his bandmates, the way that he thought that he was just a little bit above the rest. Granted, he is one of the most talented bassists in the world, in my opinion. And more than that, he has learned to market his craft. That is what Kiss is. Kiss is not just a band, okay? Kiss is like a football team, okay? There's merchandise going on there. There's marketing beyond your wildest dreams. These guys are making millions and millions and millions of dollars to put on the fireworks, to put on the makeup, to go out there and give everybody a good show. So that's what they're supposed to do. Now, you may remember, and I'm going to be honest right now, I didn't even research their names because I don't like fake KISS members. And I apologize. No, I don't apologize. No apologies here. I'm not sorry for saying this. Tommy Thayer, I think was his name. Tommy Thayer replaced Ace Frehley in the band. And I don't even know who replaced Peter Criss on the drums. But I'm an originalist when it comes to bands. And I really love it when all the members stick together, provided they don't die, and try to work it out in some way, or eventually, maybe reconcile in some way. Now, I will give credit to Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley that they have played on stage together since Ace and Peter were, quote, kicked out of the band for being irresponsible and things like that. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. I have the exact quotes of the feud going on between Gene and Ace. So if you've not read them, I am going to read them in their entirety on here. And maybe when I do, you will see why I'm heated about this. I really am, because although they're not super intricate with their guitar riffs and they're not super intricate with their vocals, I've always kind of had a respect for how they could really string together a simple song, much in the way that AC/DC does, and be able to entertain a whole crowd. Now, KISS kind of pumps it up a little bit. They've got the fireworks shows. They've got, like I said, they've got the makeup. They've got the studs. They've got the leather jackets. They're still rocking like it's 1980. And it's absolutely great in some ways, but then it gets to a point where, can you separate the art from the person? Now, there's a lot more serious examples of this, and I will say in extreme cases, like with Kevin Spacey and his sexual allegations that he had, with Bill Cosby, it is absolutely okay if you stop watching The Cosby Show. You should stop watching The Cosby Show, because you just shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't support those kind of acts. With Gene, it's more of like, he's just a prick, as far as I know. And I'm sure there's some people out there that may allegate differently. But as far as I know, he's always just kind of been a kind of a dick, unapologetic. Not a whole lot of respect for a lot of people besides himself and his family. And that's my issue with him. But so recently, Gene Simmons was asked if there was any chance that on this last End of the Road tour, which is what they are calling it, he was asked if there was any way that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley were going to be on this tour. And I think a lot of the fans wanted to see all four of the guys together doing it again. It's the last time they're going to do it, supposedly. And everybody kind of has had the same conversation going on, that we would like to see the original members back in play if this is really the last time that anybody's going to get a chance to check out KISS. Whether you like them, whether you hate them, I think everybody can agree that when somebody's about to end, you at least want to get a shot at seeing them. So let me get to the quotes that went on here. Okay. I would say, in my opinion, Gene Simmons fired first. Let me go to this first, okay? They announced it on America's Got Talent. They did Detroit Rock City. I remember watching it. It was amazing. It was explosive. They let them do the pyro in there. It got me excited. And then they announced that they were going to be doing the KISS End of the Road tour, which is supposedly going to be the last one that they ever do. Now, my Uncle Eddie thinks that this is going to be the second to last, and then they will actually have a reunion one. If that's the case, excellent marketing. Really love the idea. But anyway, so I've got some things highlighted here, so forgive me. I am reading here, and I'm not a smart man, so if I'm stuttering and stammering, that's just par for the course. But yeah, so in America's Got Talent, they announced it after doing Detroit Rock City. And Paul Stanley was quoted as saying, "This is going to be our last tour. It will be the most explosive, biggest show we've ever done. People who love us, come see us. If you've never seen us, this is the time. This will be the show." Now, in my eyes and ears, when I hear that, I'm thinking that it's going to be something big. Because they've been doing the tour with Tommy Thayer, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and I'm not even sorry, I don't know the drummer's name. They replaced Peter Criss, because Peter Criss is the only true KISS drummer, in my opinion. Which, opinions are like assholes, people, okay? Everybody thinks everybody else's stinks worse than yours. So feel free to leave your hate comments down below on how I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a poor snaggletooth ginger in the country making opinions about music. Whatever. But that's what I'm thinking, and that, I'm sticking to that. So let's get to the fight here. I want to get to the fight because the words said were just shitty. I mean, nobody who has worked together as long as these guys have should be having troubles like this. I apologize. This computer's about 10 years old, so it kind of locks up on me a little bit. Trying to get to what was said here. So basically, Gene Simmons was asked, is there any chance in the world of you guys all going out on the tour together with the whole deal, the global deal? By the way, this is going to be a 3-year tour. I don't care what you think about Kiss. They're old as shit, and they tour for 3 years on a tour. It's got to be respected in some sense. So anyways, Gene Simmons was asked if there was a chance. And this is his exact quote. So life doesn't give you... Oh, I want to say this is according to Blabbermouth. I did not do this research myself. Anyone who knows me, obviously, but just for legal reasons, this is not my work. This is just me telling you what someone else said. So, it says, so life doesn't give you 3 chances. You get 1 chance. But Ace and Peter have gotten 3 chances. They were in and out of the band, fired 3 times for bad behavior, being unprofessional. All the cliches are cliches. So the only reason Ace and Peter were let go the first time, and then the second time, and then the third time, is that they were not carrying their load. Now, I was not on tour with Kiss, so this could be true, this could be a lie. I will tell you, Ace Frehley has a little bit different of a story, and there's 20 sides to every story. So he goes on to say, you can't be in a car with 2 flat tires. References to Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. It's not going to go anywhere. It's your responsibility to change the fucking tires so that the whole car doesn't stop. And he's not wrong on this, okay? So if this is what went down, this is absolutely how any band should work. If 2 members are working their ass off and the other 2 aren't, then, you got to side with them on that, because everybody's got to pull their load in a band, okay? We all help the drummer drag the drums in. We all help set up and break down. Of course, Kiss doesn't do this. But anyway, so he goes on say it's nothing personal. It sounds pretty personal to me, just in my opinion. So the short answer is we'd love to have Ace and Peter join us here and there. And if they don't, it's not going to be because of us. But they're never going to be in Kiss again. Now that is a bold, strong, kind of disrespectful statement. Now, I'm not gonna do all the exact quotes of the end part, but he basically goes on to say that he's still worried about Ace's drinking problems. He's still worried about him using drugs, and according to the records, he has not had a drink or a drug in 12 years, and he's been touring. And like I said earlier, Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley have played on stage together. Okay, I can't remember if it was Shiprocked, if it was something like that, but you can look it up on YouTube. They have played together. And this whole spiel at the end saying, well, would we let them jump on for a song or 2, is absolutely fucking disrespectful when you're doing a tour of this caliber, of this magnitude. You're saying it's going to be the biggest, it's going to be the baddest, it's going to be explosive, there's going to be fucking bazookas going off. If you're really promising all that and you're going to do the biggest tour in the world, do not disrespect the other 2 members who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this band. Look, sure, every band on the road back then was fucking up. People were getting drunk and shooting heroin on tour buses and passing out, and people were dying. People are still dying because they're acting irresponsibly. But from all I've read about Ace Frehley, he has worked and clawed his way to sobriety, to being able to tour again, to being able to put those demons behind him so that he can get back into it. So, but yeah, basically, he said, oh, okay, I do have the other quote here. Listen to this. Would we welcome... Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Would we welcome Ace or Peter to jump on stage for a song or two? Of course. Could we depend on either Ace or Peter to do a full set night after night? Not on your fucking life. Direct quote from Gene Simmons. Now, you guys tell me right now in the comments, do you think that that's a little bit disrespectful of someone to say to someone they've worked with for years and years and years and years on the road? And anybody who knows Gene Simmons knows he probably doesn't care. He's raking in the millions, probably billions by now. And he's got success. And that does things to people's heads. That makes people think differently. I am an aspiring musician. I couldn't promise you 100% if they gave me the $1 billion check. That might change the psyche a little bit in ways that you don't understand. Money is a crazy thing. Sorry, I got a little mic buzz going on here. Sometimes you just gotta smack it into submission. It's not working. That's okay. We'll keep the buzz in there a little bit, I guess. Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry. So, getting back on my rant, I think you guys probably want to hear what Ace had to say back after he said this. Now, I don't know if comments are disabled or if they're just not pulled up. Okay, it looks like comments are on. So if you guys are watching, let me know right now what you think. When you work with somebody for 25 years on the road, do you not think there's some kind of a respect that goes into that just can't be fucked with? Like, you just can't do that. My opinion, but I don't know what the guys went through, and I'm not a member of KISS. So Ace goes on to say, here's my reaction to Gene's post today. I think he put this on Facebook, and then he shared it on Twitter in pieces, but he says it like this. He says, Gene, your memory is really incorrect. I was never fired from KISS. So already, we've got problems. He says, I quit twice, not 3 times, of my own free will, because you and Paul are control freaks, untrustworthy, and were too difficult to work with. Now, I couldn't imagine Gene Simmons being hard to work with, could you? I mean, he's only throwing his ex-bandmates under the bus. And let me also say, they've completely left Peter Criss out of this whole fucking conversation. Peter Criss was heartbroken back in 2004 when KISS did this tour that was supposed to be the last tour. And they didn't let him join in then as it. And Peter Criss was heartbroken, but he's apparently been left out of this. This is obviously personal between Gene and Ace. So let me get back into this. He says, your slanderous remarks about my bad habits over the years has cost me millions of dollars. And now that I'm over 12 years sober, you're still saying I can't be trusted to play a whole night show. Well, that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 12 years with different configurations of the Ace Frehley band, to you and Paul's dismay. And I probably agree with him there in that, Gene's probably a little upset that Ace makes money, but Ace is an original member. Of course he's going to make money. People want to see him. And after what I've seen with Gene and Paul, I want to see Ace even more. I'd like to see an Ace KISS band and put them in fucking different makeup, and let's see how that goes. I think that would be phenomenal. And probably would have a lot less drama in it, in my opinion. Okay, so it goes on. I'm also the most successful solo artist to come out of the original KISS lineup. True. And proud of it. You and Paul have tried to derail my solo career multiple times over the years unsuccessfully. I've tried to be nice and friendly by inviting you and Paul to perform on my past albums for E1 Music. Give each of you guys one of my prized Gibson Les Paul 59 models, which right there is a damn... Oh my gosh. Send me one, please. Send me any model. I'll take one of the 2019s, and they're shit. So, he's invited him to play in. He says, you're just an asshole and a sex addict who's being sued by multiple women, and you're just trying to sweep it all under the carpet. Okay, so going back to what I was saying at the beginning of this, I said that Gene Simmons possibly had some issues with that, and so now we're seeing here that's not completely made up. That there are allegations against Gene Simmons for sexual harassment and things like that, and I've heard how he talks about women, so I have no doubt in my mind that that's probably true. And with a lot of rock stars and with, other people we won't mention. But the icing on the cake, this is still him quoting, talking to Gene. The icing on the cake was when you groped my wife and propositioned her in Los Angeles at the Capitol Records building behind my back. When I was trying to help you out at one of your vault experiences, which I only found out about several weeks later. She was planning on pursuing a suit against you, but I told her to call it off. Gene Simmons, fuck you, dude. Yeah, look, this podcast today is not a nice podcast. Okay, we're not happy about this. I read this shit, and it's the same fucking story with Gene Simmons over and over and over again. I can't work with you because you don't fucking do everything I say. I'm not going to be married to you because you don't want to do this. So I'm going to cheat on my wife. I'm going to do all these things. And I think it's all just business, money, power. All those things have corrupted Gene's mind in a way that I have not seen with a ton of artists. Not to that magnitude. Not to that extent. Where you're going to friends that you've been with for 20, 30 years, 40 years, almost 40 years now, and you're trying to grope their wives. You're trying to assault someone's love. For what? For one, Gene Simmons, you can have any woman that you want. I mean, not any woman, especially ones that think you're a pig. But most fangirls, I don't want to generalize here, but I think people would be excited to be with Gene. I think if Gene sent a lot of you a letter and said, well, we're going to go on a date, a lot of you would probably be like, okay, he's from Kiss, I'm going to do that. But why would you propose to your best friend, supposed best friend's wife, behind his back while he's trying to help you with a project? It's because it's somebody who has been so blinded and sickened by money and power that he would rather prove himself and how big of a man he is than actually, form an actual connection with somebody who, maybe is not your best friend's wife. So this whole thing has got me twisted up, okay? Usually I'll come on here, we'll have a good time, and we'll get to other stuff, maybe. I don't know. This has been on my mind all night, so we may just keep talking about this. You guys feel free to put your comments in. I want to see what you guys think in real time as I'm telling you this information. If this was your best friend, if this is your guitarist, if this is your drummer, if this is your bass player, if this is your singer, or just your best friend who's not even in the band, what do you do? What is the situation that you take, and what lesson can you take from that? In my opinion, the biggest lesson that you take from that is that he's not your real friend, and he does not really care about you, and he does not really care about Peter Criss, and he doesn't really care about Tommy Thayer. What he cares about Tommy Thayer and unnamed drummer we're not going to talk about today is that they take a lot less money to play on a Kiss tour than, say, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley would. That is what we're talking about here. Okay? Gene Simmons keeps his power, and Paul Stanley, although a much better human being, also keeps his power by keeping those other two guys on a leash. You should be thankful to be here. Tommy Thayer came from a Kiss cover band, if I'm not mistaken, and they should be lucky to be there. They should be lucky to be a part of Kiss. That's the vibe that I get when it comes out. And every time I see Tommy Thayer in an interview, I'm so grateful to be a part of this. We've been building this. This is our thing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I get it. When Ace is drinking, Ace is fucking up. You have to keep the band going. Although I don't 100% agree with it, I understand. I see where you're coming from on that. Ace Frehley didn't die. Peter Criss did not die. They're still around. And in my opinion, you have so many people that really want that original lineup back. What do you have to lose? I think you're going to sell more tickets. I honestly do. I think there's going to be more people interested in an Into the Road Kiss tour where they get to see all four of the guys. And I have other issues with Kiss that we're not even going to get into today. We can talk about it another day when the subject is a little bit different. I wanted to really hit this on the head really hard today because it's been on my mind. So there's a final part, and this is basically Ace Frehley's, let's say, offer. Okay, so the last two parts. Well, now the gloves are off after your terrible comments today, and I'm thinking that this really may be the end of the road tour for you guys. Without a complete and heartfelt apology, an offer to give me my old job back, and removing Tommy from the throne that I created, that shit will hit the fan and there'll be no stopping it. It's on. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I think there's going to be some legal action taken on this. I mean, there have been a lot of legal stuff to go on between them. But I think that there's something going on here. And I'll try to keep you guys updated on that. Justin Welch says, the problem is individualism may be best for personal growth, but not for Kiss. Let me expand this. Sorry, guys. Justin Welch says, at some point you just have to accept that Kiss is an entity comprised of individuals who still have a huge part of their lives that need fulfillment. Very well worded. I'm glad. I always knew Justin was intelligent, but that is the perfect way to put that. That everybody in the band has a connection to this piece of art, and you are crushing it by not only focusing on the marketing aspects of it, but you're crushing it because you're not respecting the people that helped it get to the point it is. Do I think that Kiss would be Kiss without all four of them? No. That's how bands work. That's the magic that comes up and pops in your face and goes, holy fuck, that's a great band. Kiss is amazing because of all of the parts that made it up. And ever since two of those parts went away, I do not see the same band that I saw in the older days, or the records that I have. When I hear them having fun, I can't stake the claim of whether Gene Simmons was always like that, but I have a good feeling that it's probably due to his high level of success, and it happens to everybody. You know, one thing I'll say about Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses is that even when they were broke as shit, he never gave a damn about a fan. I mean, not really. Not to talk to them, not to get involved with them. You know, he probably in some form appreciated it, but he was not big on interviews. Never big on interviews. Never big on talking to people. Very reclusive. Not a huge, like, even in his drinking days, you can read about how he would, you know, him and Slash would either be together with the band or they'd be locked in isolation, you know, mostly drinking back then. But, like, they were always like that from the start. It wasn't something that was created because they got a whole bunch of money. In fact, I think that on this tour that they're doing now, these guys are better than ever. Let's not talk about, you know, specific things, you know, like which parts are good or which parts are bad. I'm saying as a band that works together and cohesively, and although I still have a bad taste in my mouth about no Steven Adler, but it's about the best that we can get. But one thing I will say is that the members of that band seem to have gotten better as they've gotten older, while as Kiss seems like they've just become a more just marketing, you know, just for money, just for things like that. Justin Welch says, sorry, I have to hit it to see it. He says, are you willing to put other people in compromising situations that might not be best for them to see a great show? And is it worth it to them to sacrifice their emotions to put on some great shows? Okay, so now I feel like your question may be kind of more sympathizing on Gene's side. Now, please correct me quickly if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and comment on this. If you're talking about Gene's emotions, I don't know. I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think Gene's a pretty empty person at this point. He doesn't look like he has fun when he plays the music. And that's why I go back to what I was saying about it might be a better Kiss experience with Ace and Peter and replace the other two guys. Of course, that's hypocritical because it's the same thing. You're making a nostalgia act with members that did not build this castle that you all live in. But in my opinion, I just don't think Gene Simmons has a lot of damn heart anymore. I think his mind is constantly on money. Constantly. He's not the only one. He's not the only guy in the world that makes a bunch of money and then goes crazy on it. Almost everybody I hear about has some kind of change when that kind of stuff starts happening. So, that's part of it. So yeah. So my final thoughts on this issue, in conclusion, to wrap this part up, is that I do feel that Gene was disrespectful in the way he handled it. I think that once the wife situation was thrown into the mix, Ace Frehley had every right. I mean, this happened, I guess, a long time ago, and they never talked about it, but to put this out in the public eye, one has got to be embarrassing. Not for Gene, fuck Gene, just embarrassing that Ace and his wife even had to go through something like this, of something that in any other situation would be considered a sexual predator. Unless, I guess if he made an offer, she quickly went away, he didn't force the issue, whatever, okay, I guess that's definitely a different dynamic of some of the sexual allegations that we've heard so far. But yeah, I think that he put it in a great way. The gloves are off. You tried to fuck my wife. Now you're trying to fuck my last chance at being in Kiss, something that I helped create. And you think that you deserve the same Kiss respect that you got back in the day when we were rocking it out. Don't think it's true. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. We've got 5 people watching. I would love it if I could see 5 comments from everyone who's watching right now to tell me what you think about what Gene did, how Ace responded, and maybe what you would do in that situation. Not necessarily your opinion on the matter, but maybe where could this fit into your life, or has something like this happened in your life? Maybe with a best friend. Leave music and bands out of it. This is a respect thing. If you and your buddy are working on a construction crew for 35 years and you've split the business and you're partners, and then he goes and just fucks you out of the deal, does he deserve the respect as the business? I don't think so. But I'm not one to be bought. I'm not one to be influenced. I'm not a big person that likes authority. So control issues that Gene and Paul might have would be something I couldn't handle it. Okay, so I'm going to read your responses. Justin Welch responded, but it looks like we've got 4 more people. So, and I'll talk to my wife. She's in another room right now. But if she's in there, I'd like to hear her opinion on it too. So, Justin Welch says, let me expand it. I guess when whatever you're doing becomes a job, you have to be able to put on a face for the sake of the show. Absolutely. I've had to do it myself. Admittedly, I've been with my wife for about 5.5 years now. We had issues. We've had issues. We've had arguments. We've had things, and I think it's a lot in the same way. Your wife, in a lot of ways, is your best friend. And we've had issues right before shows, and we've had to be professionals and not let all that out. And I will be the first one to admit I'm not the best one to do that. I'm not really good at masking my emotions. One thing about having a podcast is that even though I'm upset about things like this, I have to be a little bit more controlled in order to get the information to you all in the best way I can, where you guys can learn what's going on about a situation or about the rock news of the day without me, just flipping my lid and breaking shit and all that crazy stuff. So even when you're doing a show like this, you have to take a breath. And after I rant, I got to take a deep breath and I got to be professional and I got to go, okay, this is my opinion on it. What are y'all's opinions on it? And go from there. So, that's happened to me with the stage where I've been in a bad mood. Us Irish have our tempers. And sometimes before a show, I'm real stressed and I'm trying to get everything together and we're hauling shit out the door. And maybe we worked that day and we've only got, 2 hours to get from, to packing up to get to the gig. And I'm just, oh my gosh. And, so there's a lot of different situations like that. And as what I would consider myself a maybe not super professional, but trained, as a trained live performer, I've gotten better with learning how to control that. And let's see here. I've got a couple more comments on here I want to read. Zach Shackelford says, I think it's disrespectful. They definitely should be up on that stage if it's in fact the last. And that's a good point too, because who knows if it's the last? I mean, this whole band I mentioned earlier. It's like a football team. It's a franchise. It's not four dudes. It's not Nirvana where it's just like people that are, they just play music and they just happen to get famous and they get it. No. Kiss is engineered. This whole thing is engineered. This is all part of the plan. Okay? They want to sell keychains and they want to sell bobbleheads and they want to sell t-shirts and they want to sell this, that, and the other. And I just don't think the music is quite there for Gene Simmons anymore. Paul seems to still have a lot of fun, but I think we can all agree that he is kind of fallen off in the sense that I think there are some vocal backing tracks going on. And like I said, I'm a pissant compared to the success that they have had. So, take all my advice and opinions with a grain of salt. Form your own. Tell me what you think, and we'll talk about it. If you have a different side, you think, well, hey, Gene's making a good business decision. I think that if Kiss is a franchise and it is a marketing, to play devil's advocate, and if it is a marketing ploy and it is this, well, then they should just do whatever it takes to have the best Kiss show. And the smoothest Kiss show with everybody happy. And maybe Tommy Thayer and the replacement drummer, make Gene and Paul play better. Maybe. If that's how you feel, I'd love to know about it. You see, I'm pushing that aside because it's just not where I'm at. I've seen this, and I think it's so disrespectful. Let me get to the next question. Jared Duckworth. You know what? I need another drink after that. So Jared Duckworth says, well, to me, Kiss wasn't necessarily a beacon of morality. I was raised on Kiss, and I love the jams for sure. However, it's been well known for years that Gene was a womanizer. To me, it just rings out that Gene is about numero one and no one else. He lives for today, and that's all there is to it. Jared, excellent. That's excellent. Oh, he says, and he goes on to say, doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't make it right. Absolutely doesn't make it right. Makes it bullshit. And especially if a lot of this, because he's a rich guy, okay? I could see him putting hush money up to women for, look, don't talk about this. I got $500 million. I'll drop $1 million on you. You shut the fuck up, and we'll go about our merry way. But if he's done things like this with, these sexual allegations or if it's just womanizing, look, some dudes are just dicks like that. It's just the way it is. Guys and girls can be pricks, especially when you add in the factors of power, when you add in the factors of money, when you add in the factors of having issues with your other bandmates that were real issues at the time, and I can even understand having trouble moving past that. So, there's 25,000 sides to every story, and I'm sure Paul Stanley has his own take on what used to go on. and Peter Criss has his own take. The only thing I found about Peter Criss was that he was really heartbroken that he wasn't on the last tour. But we don't hear a whole lot of Peter Criss. I mean, Ace is right in the fact that Ace is the most successful solo artist to come out of that band. You know, it's a rough road. So that's my thoughts on it. And if there's anybody just coming in right now, tell me what you think about the feud between Ace and Gene, or just how you feel about Kiss in general. Were they a band that you grew up on? Were they a band that you listened to a whole lot? You know, where do they fall into your line? Or are they terrible to you? Are they just something... Look, I'll say right now, I cannot listen to I Want to Rock and Roll All Night one more fucking time. Like, it's like the rap songs of today. They just say the same chorus over and over and over and over again, and everybody gets pumped up about it, and I don't fucking understand the hype. But I'm not everybody. Nor am I super young. So, you know, in both ways, I might be out of touch here. Jake Taylor says... he said burp. Hey, one thing I want to say, I want to stop for just 1 second and just let you know about this Michelob Lager. If you drink this Michelob Lager, you're going to burp and burp and burp and burp. So, yeah. But great beer is definitely better than the Amberbock. Okay, so Jake Taylor says, I've been to a Kiss show. Oh, cool. Okay. Hold on. I've been to a Kiss show, and it is an amazing show, simply because it was Kiss. Now, I agree there was a lot of backing stuff going on. Okay, so I'm not crazy about that. I hear it on the YouTube videos. But the band was really playing. Okay. It sounded great. It was a show, and it was awesome. Personal lives aside, I try not to get too into the personal stuff because it takes away from the art. Well, I will respectfully disagree a little bit with that. I think that in some ways it deteriorates the worth of the art. And that's just me talking. I think that when we have these artists or these actors or these sports stars, especially football players, I mean, not especially football players, but including football players have done some horrible, horrible things and been right back on the field the next year. Okay? So while we're ruining the lives of every single person, let's start ruining the lives of some of those people, because they're doing the exact same things. They're womanizing women to more extreme degrees. So I do think, yeah, and I want to go back to Bill Cosby is probably one of my biggest examples of just being crushed. Oh, hey sis, fame not game. All right, cool. Short, sweet, and to the point. But yeah, it's, you know, the Cosby Show. I watched the Cosby Show every day. Not some days. I'm talking every day. It was my favorite show. Hands down. My parents didn't like it that much, and friends didn't really like it that much. But I was huge on it. And Dr. Huxtable was he was like my friend, you know? And when I found out about all this stuff that he had done to women back in the day, I thought, God, you know, if Bill Cosby can be like that, how do we know if we can trust anybody in Hollywood, or anybody in the music industry, or anybody in the sports industry, or anybody in the advertising industry, or any of these large corporate money-grubbing, you know, entities that, you know, thrive on money and power. So, yeah, you know, Cosby broke my heart. But now I can't go back to watching The Cosby Show. I can't do that. I cannot just throw it all away and think, oh yeah, you know, when Theo comes in, you know, high with Roach, and he's got to get, you know, and he's got to talk to his dad on the couch, and you know they're getting all kinds of shenanigans. It's like, I don't want to see it anymore. I just don't. And you know what? It doesn't just hurt Cosby, or I mean, it doesn't just hurt the reputation of Bill Cosby. What it does is it makes the work that all the other actors did on the show tainted. And it's just like, you know, it's just like the situation with kids. Not just like, obviously, Bill Cosby is a horrible human being. And one of the worst, you know, him, Harvey Weinstein, all those people like that use power and money to get their will They're evil people. And I think that in that sense that you can definitely separate from, that you cannot separate from the art that they have created. And especially not their part in it. So I'm going to go to a few of these other questions. But yeah, that got me off in a rant for a minute. Okay, so, I missed a few. I'm sorry. What is your favorite Kiss song? Jared says. Detroit Rock City. It just gets my fucking blood pumping. There's just something about it. The way that the riff comes in, get up. When it just snaps like that, it's fucking awesome. It's definitely one of my favorites. Least favorite, I don't know the name, but whenever they did disco, fucking cut that shit off. And I'll listen to the Bee Gees before I'll listen to that fucking Kiss disco. Kisco. It's Kisco. Okay. My sister Amanda says, it's sad. Kiss was super influential to the music industry. It sucks when money and pride come between good friends. It almost makes you wonder if all of the game was worth it. Yeah. Scares me for the industry. It really does. Justin Welch. I stopped drinking Michelob because it gives me hiccups. Yeah. I'm getting like there's something coming up. I agree. Fame not game. Addie's watching. Oh, my wife had a comment on here. Oh, good. She left me a good paragraph. Okay, so Sarah says, music is a lot of feelings too, but issues with your bandmates I think should be put on the back burner if you're trying to make something enjoyable to a wide range of people and make a shit ton of money off of it. Yeah, okay. All right, so more the capital response to it. I absolutely think Gene is totally being an ass, always has been, and overreacting. To me, it appears like he doesn't even think about what's going to happen in result of the things that he said and done. And money does that to people. Because no matter what they do or who they piss off, they are going to be fine in the morning. Gene Simmons is going to be sleeping on silk sheets till he's fucking 100 or in the ground. Okay? So that's where the fuck you money comes in. It's like, okay, I have so much money that really I can make the choice at this point whether I really care. If anybody cares, he can hang out in his mansion all day long. Do whatever he wants. Doesn't make it right, but he can definitely do that. That's definitely part of it. Okay, so Sarah goes on to say, he said he'd done. If I was in Ace's position, finding out about all this, there's that Michelob, plus being betrayed by someone who was a bandmate and supposedly friend for so many years, yeah, I'd be pissed. I'd sue the hell out of him. And it sounds like that might be the route they're taking. So, my sister goes on, it's hard because we idolize these people for the role they play and we don't really get to see what's behind the curtain, so to speak. And that's a good point on both sides because you can't know exactly what was always going on there. Doesn't help that the automatic assumption is guilt. Yeah, on both sides. On both sides of it. Look, Ace Frehley could still be drinking his ass off, and because of the mask or the curtain or whatever you want to call it that is in between us and the popular people out there, the rich and the famous, because of that curtain that goes down, they are allowed to present an artistic canvas of who they want you to think that they are. That's how Bill Cosby got away with it. That's why Kevin Spacey has won Oscars and still been doing sick shit in the background. This is just a money dispute and just a disrespect, just disrespect between two friends. It's absolutely atrocious, but it's definitely not to the same magnitude as the other situations. But that's what that mask provides. Sarah says, I think it's both. Gene wants attention too. So, okay, yeah. So I'm sure, okay, yeah. Like you have that deep down desire inside of yourself to think, I want to be loved. You know what I mean? But I have to disagree because I just think Gene just looks empty. Have you ever just looked at somebody and just went, they're dead. They're alive and they're kicking, but all of the glisten, all of the glow is just gone. I see that with Gene Simmons. I really do. I see it. And in the opposite effect, I see the opposite in Axl Rose now. I feel like he's loving it more than ever right now in Guns N' Roses. But Gene is just I gotta cash this check. You know what I mean? all speculation. Feel free to disagree. Every person who loves power loves attention, because that's the attention they get is the power. So I could see Gene having it from that perspective. Do I think he needs to be loved? Maybe not. Maybe not. It just seems like he's just dead on his face. Sarah says, also, I wish these would just start out expanded. I'm sorry that I have to keep going in and out to do this. So Sarah says, also, I think that if you are a musician that plays in front of people in any way, then in ways we all want attention. But he's just desperate. I agree completely. I have, for a long time when I was playing music, I was kind of afraid to enjoy it. And a lot of it is exterior. Your peers, they see you playing music, and you're supposed to be kind of recluse. You're supposed to be kind of like, always be humble. Don't ever think you're the shit. Okay, trust me, I know. When I was a kid, I made that mistake all the time, thinking that I was just the best around or whatever. And I'm sorry if that makes you guys look down on me, but as I've gotten older, I've definitely figured out that's not the way to go. But I will contrast that to say that I like attention, sure. If I didn't like some attention to some small degree, I would just be playing in my house all the time. But I'm going out and I'm doing it here and I'm doing it there and I'm doing it there. Now, I do it mainly because I love playing music. 95% of it is because I have spent 15 years playing music and I love doing it. But yeah, sure. I love it when people like what we're doing. I love it when people are clapping. I don't particularly care for it when we're all sitting around and we play a song and we all think, oh yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it didn't suck too bad. We did it all right. And we don't get a single clap. That sucks. That sucks. And like I said, if that's the response you're getting, either one, you're maybe not a good musician and you need to maybe work on your craft a little bit more. But secondly, it's, okay, so sometimes it's crowd, sometimes it's that, but a lot of the times it's you. It's something you're doing, maybe you're not playing the right songs, maybe you're not doing this or that. My point is though, I prefer it a lot better, and I think every person likes it a lot better when people are clapping and having a good time, whether you get that because it's a little bit of attention, whether you get that because you're bringing enjoyment into people's lives, whether you're doing that because you know that the work that you've put in is paying off in some small way because people are responding to it. So, and it can go a different way every night. And that's the same with actors, that's the same with comedians or improv groups, anything like that. When you're doing theater, or you're doing music, or you're doing anything, it's all based on the response out there. Not necessarily your happiness. I mean, you might just be happy with just playing music. That might just be what it's all about. Again, if that was all it was about, I have a feeling you would just be in your basement, or you'd be in your bedroom, and you'd just be playing to yourself and watching your own recordings, and everything would be great and gravy, and and that would make you happy. But people that do touring and people that try to book gigs and stuff like that definitely aren't doing it for like the money. That's just not. Hold on here. I'm gonna catch up here. I can't. I'm reading every one, but I do have to. I have to keep talking. So please forgive me. I have to keep getting up and doing this. Amanda Hoskins says it's a special connection between the artist and the audience, and I agree. Definitely, it's something I cannot explain when the magic's happening there. Jared Duckworth says, I know the feeling, my friend. Sometimes they only want to hear Johnny Cash. Hey, but I've got Ring of Fire, so we'll give them a little bit of that. It came in twice. Somebody liked one of yours, but not the other. Or Skinnerd, yeah. Jake Taylor says, real performing musicians do it for entertainment. They want to please the crowd because it is pleasing to them as well. Yeah, and I think that's a part of it. But let me ask you something, Jake Taylor. I don't know why I'm saying your full name. I think it's just because I was reading it. But let me ask you something, Jake. When you're playing, do you enjoy the people that clap for you? Do you feel accomplished when people clap for you? Because this is something I think that a lot of artists need to stop being ashamed of. Look, don't be in it for just attention. Don't do that. That's gross. That's really, really gross. If you're just going to these shows, you don't even like the guitar, you don't even like nothing. You just want to show up. You want everybody to love you, and then you're gonna move on your merry fucking way and go to the next spot. That's sick. That's fucking weird. I don't know what that is. I've been playing music for 15 years. I play music because I want to play music because I love music. I have a passion for music. But, like, I'd be, remiss to say that I don't like, the attention that we get as a band. And when people post positive comments, or even on this format, on podcast format, when you put your comments on and say good things about the show and things like that, I love all that stuff. And it is a part of why I do it. And like I said, I don't think that musicians should be ashamed of that. So, just my opinion. I don't know if your comment was quite going that far, but that's, kind of how I read it. But if I was mistaken, please correct me on that. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. Freebird, yeah. Garrett Johnson, hey, how you doing, bud? That's what sandwiches were about. Entertainment. Keep the ball rolling. That's narcissism. Yeah. When somebody's just there, I'm sure there's bands that have done it, but, like, it's hard for me to imagine anybody getting to that extent of the music business and then only being there because of the reaction you're going to get from other people. Like, that's a miserable deal. Like, you could go do something else. Something you have worked on very hard. Pleasing to the artist means feeling very accomplished and proud of a talent or skill. Something you have worked on very hard. Okay, yeah. So we're in agreement there. I apologize if my comment was mistaken on the point of your comment. But I just wanted to make it clear that if you were saying that the attention factor is not a good thing, I just think that that's something that people really, shouldn't be afraid of. Just don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid that you enjoy it. When you start... Yeah, okay, I think this is going to cover a little bit. The ones I've encountered who are egocentric usually suck ass. I mean, I haven't run into that too much. Usually if I run into somebody... Just reiterating. Okay. Usually if I run into somebody who's really full of themselves, in my experience, most of the time they have been really good. And in a lot of cases, better than me. It is what it is. It's whatever. I mean, I don't say better than me like everyone's not better than me. There's a shit ton of people that are way better than me and way better than, like, in my opinion, Jared Duckworth is probably one of the best solo acts I've ever heard. Not to, if Craig, if you're listening to this, I don't mean to diss you on honor, but or honor. I don't. The way you spell it it looks like honor. It seems like it should be spelled that way. But Jared Duckworth has the capability to be the next Cat Stevens, whether he wants to admit it or not. He has every bit of that capability, and he's one of the most humble guys I ever met. So, he's really, not to give too much of your personality away, but he's kind of shy. He doesn't love, the camera like I do. I love being on here talking to you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of the week is whenever I get to get on here. Not because you're looking at me, just because we get to talk about the substance of music a little bit and get it going. But yeah, it goes both ways. Jared Duckworth says, I love that this last half is more of a conversation. We're just talking. So we're almost to the hour mark. We're going to go about an hour and 15 minutes if you guys can hang out for that long. Maybe an hour and 20 minutes or something, and then I've got to get to drinking these a little bit faster. It gets better as you drink it. So Jared Duckworth says, to me it's kind of like the beginning of every American Idol type show where every performer is force crying. Okay. All right, this is going to be our last 15 minutes here. We're going to talk about this because I feel the same way. But yet the stories get me. I cry like a baby. But I've looked this up. Sarah and I were recently talking about signing up for America's Got Talent. We've been stressed by this with our parents, our aunts, our uncles, everything, that they would like us to join America's Got Talent. And so we thought, for a long time I was just really resilient to it. I thought, God, that's kind of like a sellout move or whatever. But one night, we thought, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna sign up for this thing. And so you go to the America's Got Talent website, and you go through the steps, and they give you the contract, and they explain it to you, and it's about 25 pages of crazy legal mumbo jumbo that is not too hard to understand, but you're going to spend a minute reading it. The thing is that I call these slave contracts. I don't. I read that somewhere else. I didn't make that up. They call them slave contracts. They make you dress how they want you to dress, which, okay, it's TV, I understand. Whatever color schemes they might want to do, that may be something that they like. Or something that works the best, you know what I mean? But this contract has a lot more than that in it, okay? This contract justifies, well, it doesn't justify, it legalizes changing the votes on certain artists to make ones win or lose. So if you're thinking about going to American Idol, if you're thinking about America's Got Talent, if you're thinking about The Voice, just remember that all these contracts have the clause that if the producers so decide, you can be bumped off whether you got the most votes or not. So you could take that one way as producers are crooked, or you could take it as you never really know how good you were on the show. That being said, the thing about trying to think how not to attack this too badly, but they tell you that. They tell you to do that stuff. That crying, the sob stories, all that stuff is literally required to do it. You have to search inside yourself. I've read things of those artists sitting there for 3-4 hours with a producer or a writer or maybe the manager of the situation, trying to coax these emotionally deep, hurtful, scarring things out of people in order to get them to cry on camera or to get to that point. And there's a lot of editing between that. It cuts it down to 35, 40 seconds. But what's really going on is they're sitting there for 3-4 hours, and they are talking about people that died in their life and the tragedies that they've had, and they're doing that for like half a day until you break down. And the sick part of it is that I believe in my heart that if those weren't on there, I think a lot of Americans wouldn't be able to relate as much. I think it's a relation thing. If you show up and they all just sing, yes, maybe you will like that. But part of it, part of the journey, part of the trick, part of the production of such an elaborate program is that they have got to make you care about the people that are on there. And the way that they do that is through, we'll call it sadness mongering. Or whatever it is, And these people do have real stories and stuff, and I feel bad for them, but that's what's happening. And that's why I don't think that anybody should try to go to those shows, but feel free to, and you might win it, because Lauren Gray from Hardy, Arkansas made it in the top 12. You know what I mean? Of course, she's fantastic. She's a really good artist. She's just great. So, it's only natural she made it to the top 12. If you ever go down to the Copper Feather, I believe they play on Saturdays with the Mike Gray Band, or it may be the Lauren Gray Band now. She's great. So I'm not trying to say here that talent does not come from these places, or that the person with the highest talent doesn't sometimes win these things. I think it was the last year of American Idol, maybe the one before that. There was a guy named Cade Fournier who had long curly hair, and he had a bunch of bracelets, and he had necklaces, and he looked like fucking Steven Tyler, but didn't quite sing as good. But he made it second place. I want to hope that was for votes, but according to the contracts, you never really know. So, with that, I am going to leave you today with those thoughts. So, again, in the comments below, just leave a little bit of what you think about the feud between Gene and Ace Frehley. Even if you left a comment, leave another one. Not only does it help me to kind of know where the people that watch this show's perspectives are, but it helps me to expand this channel and make these posts blow up. And when I edit them and I go to the next episode that I make, then I can talk about the things that you guys wanted to talk about and try to get to it. Because I try to make this very interactive between us. So I always want to do that. So in closing, I want to say, let me know what you think about Ace and Frehley. Let me know what you think about the state of singing shows, and if maybe you've ever tried to be on one. Let me know down below. If it's something that that you would like to share with us, share with us. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to the Drink Talk Rock Facebook page. After you get off of this video here, go to youtube.com and type in Drink Talk Rock, and you will find the videos that we've got going on there. And this podcast will also be available in edited format with better audio. And we want you to check it out. So, from Drink Talk Rock, cheers, drink responsibly, don't do anything stupid, and keep rocking on.